This is Nick Sharpe doing a history project with Grandpa. So, what is your name?
My name is George Andreas.
And what is your approximate age?
Approximate age, I'm in the upper 70s.
Where is your birthplace?
Chicago.
Yeah. To what extent were you aware of happenings in Japan, Italy, and Germany during the 1930s?
Well, I was pretty young in the 1930s and I wasn't that aware. Remember, our communications at that time were far, far less than what they are now. We didn't have television. We had radio, and the radio news that we would get were at about 15-minute increments, and they were delayed a few days before we got the news. So it was difficult to get the news. But what I remember most about that period of time is the anxiety of my parents, because it was obvious from just hearing them talk and what was going on with them and the neighbors and in the community, that there were serious things happening.
Yeah. Were your interests heightened once the U.S. entered the war?
Oh yes, everybody's interest was 100% into the war effort. Um, we would, the way we got our news, like I said, was radio, but what we looked forward to is to get the newspaper in the morning. And the newspaper would tell us what was happening in the war, and we'd run to get the newspaper to find out what happening. Like in the war in the Pacific, we'd find out what island was being attacked and how the war was progressing, depending on what island the war was going on in at that time.
What were your remembrances of the attack of Pearl Harbor, and where were you when it happened?
Well, I was pretty young then, and I don't know exactly where I was. It was Sunday, December 7th, 41, and so I'm sure I was home somewhere. But like I say, the effect was seeing my parents and remembering the devastating effect it had on them and the neighbors and the community and our school leaders.
What were your feelings about American involvement in the war?
Well, my feelings about our involvement is we had absolutely no choice, and we were attacked at Pearl Harbor, and we had to give 100% effort to take care of things and to protect ourselves, because if they attacked us at Pearl Harbor without any notification or advance warning or anything, the mainland would be next. So immediately we went to task to protect ourselves.
Did these feelings change during or after the war?
No, they came more intense during the war, and we just had to go for all full out victory. And I don't think there was much of a debate with anyone about that.
What was your reaction to the draft?
Well, I was a victim of the draft, or you might say a subject of the draft, not a victim. But the draft was necessary, and nobody objected to it. Well, there were a few people that were conscientious objectors that objected to it. But all in all, the war effort was 100% support, as far as I recall, towards the war effort. And people were enlisting in the Army and the military services in droves, so there wasn't objection to the draft.
Well, what was your reaction to Franklin Roosevelt's leadership?
Oh, we thought Franklin Roosevelt was our hero and our absolute leader at that time. We had full confidence in Franklin Roosevelt. He was a great communicator, a great speaker, and a great leader.
Were you aware of the internment of Japanese Americans?
Yes, I was, and um, at that time, being very young, uh, we just thought it was something necessary that had to be done. But on second thoughts on that, looking back, that was a horrible situation.
What was your reaction to the German atrocities toward the Jews?
Oh well, we were just all just in shock and just horrified with what Hitler was doing to the Jews, and that was a main incentive for all of us to put 100% effort into the war effort.
What was your reaction to Truman's decision to drop the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki?
Oh, I think at that time, I know it's a highly debated subject now, but at that time, there was 100% uh, support for dropping the bomb. You have to remember, you have to consider it in the context in which it was dropped. We were attacked at Pearl Harbor, lost many people there at Pearl Harbor. Then we had to island hop across the Pacific Ocean, the South Pacific, the Central Pacific, uh, Wake Island, Iwo Jima, Guadalcanal, Okinawa, the Solomon Islands, New Guinea, the Philippines. We had a task. We lost so many thousands of men that anything that would bring the war to an end quicker uh, was what we were for. And another thing is the Japanese weren't about to give up. I know there's a lot of talk now. Well, they would have given up. Well, we took all these islands, and in taking these islands, they never surrendered these islands. There was never a time when the white flag came up. They stayed on those islands, and they just fought to the death. So, yeah, there was great support for dropping the atomic bomb. But remember, again, we weren't really that knowledgeable on what an atomic bomb would do and all the after effects either.